Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Chant one more time like you mean it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Now I know you're all thinking, why don't we just do kirtan for the next 2 hours? It's easier than japa. Right? I'm going to sing one song for you. You will be very happy to hear this song. It's in English. I will sing it in English because you all understand English. This morning we were chanting the Guru Puja song and the Shishastakam. And I was pretty certain that 99.9% of the devotees had no idea what they were saying in Bengali and Sanskrit. So sometimes I like to sing in English. Is that okay? I have your permission. So this is a verse from Shishashtakam. This morning in Shishashtakam is a prayer. Well, some people are new here, so all of you know all of this, but some people are new. So the new people you'll get something, and it's, whatever you get is good, and whatever you don't understand, you can ask somebody later. So Shishashtakam is a set of prayers which was given by Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya brought the Hare Krishna mantra to this world. And this morning in class, we were discussing a topic of how a devotee feels separation from Krishna, separation from God, in love. And there is a verse in Shishashtakam where Lord Chaitanya says, without you, Lord, in other words, I'm in this world and I'm separated from God. Without you, Lord, a moment feels like 1,000,000 years or more. And tears flow from my eyes like torrents of rain. And I'm feeling all vacant in your absence. Feeling all, when you miss someone, every moment is a long time, right? Einstein's theory of relativity, you know that? Every moment you sit on a hot plate is like 1,000,000 years. Every 1,000,000 years you embrace your girlfriend is like a moment. That's his other theory of relativity. Did you know that? He said that? Yeah, it's another theory of time relativity, yeah. So when you're missing someone, every moment is like 1,000,000 years. So I put it into music, and I have two melodies. This is another melody that no one has heard. Some of you have heard the old melody, and some of you have not heard either one. And I'll sing it a few times, and if you want to sing along, you can sing along, if you can sing on key. If you can't sing on key, please don't sing. You could play slow. Without you, Lord, a moment feels like 1,000,000 years or more, and tears are flowing from my eyes, just like torrents of rain. Without you, Lord, a moment feels like 1,000,000 years or more, and tears are flowing from my eyes, just like torrents of rain. You can try. You want to try it? Without you, Lord, a moment feels like 1,000,000 years or more, and tears are flowing from my eyes, just like torrents of rain. Without you, Lord, a moment feels like 1,000,000 years or more, and tears are flowing from my eyes, just like torrents of rain. One more time. Without you, Lord, a moment feels like 1,000,000 years or more, and tears are flowing from my eyes, just like torrents of rain. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there's a story in Srimad Bhagavatam. We were talking this morning. Krishna grew up in Vrindavan, and then he left Vrindavan when he was 8 years old, and said he was coming back. And he came back about 90 years later. Said he'll be back in a few days. And so there's a scene. Krishna grew up in Vrindavan, and everyone loved him more than they loved their own kids. Much more than they loved their own children. So he was leaving Vrindavan, and everyone was going crazy. And they were throwing themselves in front of the chariot and holding on to him and begging he wouldn't leave. So, in my mind, I made a movie of this scene. Maybe sunset with the chariot and everyone crying and going crazy. And this is the melody that goes with that scene. And so, now you can imagine you're there, and you're singing this, and you're begging Krishna not to leave. And so with that intensity, you can chant, okay? So you imagine the scene, Krishna's on the chariot, and he's leaving, and you're begging him, don't leave. Can we do that? And this is the melody, and that's your meditation. Okay? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Don't leave, don't leave. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Don't go. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. About you, Lord, like a million years and tears are flowing from my eyes, just like torrents of rain. Everybody. Without you, Lord, a moment feels like a million years and tears are flowing from my eyes, just like torrents of rain, just like torrents of rain. Hare Krishna. My bag. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksuram Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. So, I want to explain why I just did what I did. Because the first law of computers, water never next to a computer. Yes? Yes? You ever drop water on your computer? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur spent a lot of time writing about chanting and how to do it properly. Now, one of the things he said is we should meditate on the meaning of the mantra when we chant. What does it mean? The meaning is actually the feeling. What is the feeling that we're trying to access? Or what is the feeling that we're trying to put into the chanting? What is the nature of the Maha-Mantra? What is the vibration of it? So this is very, very important. So when we were doing this last kirtan, I was trying to help you enter into a specific feeling. There may be many feelings, but this is a very specific feeling. So I'm sure you felt something. Yes? Yes? No? Maybe? You were awake during the last kirtan? Something happened? Yes? No? Are you all here? Raise your hand if you're here. Did anything happen in the kirtan? Something? Maybe. Okay. I'm making an assumption. There was some feeling. Usually when we're chanting, there's some feeling there, because when we sing, it brings out emotion. And often when we chant Japa, it tends to be a little more mechanical. Yes or no? Yeah. And it's not supposed to be. But when we think of meditation, a lot of us think of a mechanism. How do you meditate? Well, you sit straight. It's actually better if you stare east. You pronounce the mantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You focus on pronunciation. You focus on hearing. You do it at a certain time of day. These are all the mechanics of it. So sometimes we become too absorbed in the mechanics and we lose connection with the vibration, what it actually is. I've done Japa workshops all over the world, and there are certain parts of the world where people tend to be more ritualistic than other parts of the world. Like, for example, South India is a little more ritualistic than Australia. You agree? In terms of religion, yeah. It's probably more ritualistic than anywhere in India, or one of the more ritualistic places. That's its culture. Worship is done through various rituals and pronunciation of mantras. And in that form of worship, if you don't pronounce the mantra properly, the mantra doesn't work, right? It has to be Om. You have to pronounce it, right? Om Purnam Arahat Purnam Idam Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adhaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. You have to, that wasn't perfect, but it was an imitation of a perfect way of chanting. So you have to do the mantra perfectly, you have to do the ritual perfectly, and if you don't, the whole ritual doesn't have effect. It was useless. So, coming from a background like that and going into chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, it's much different. One time, a man came to my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and said, your disciples are not pronouncing the Hare Krishna Maha-Mantra properly. How do you say? I need a bona fide Australian. How do you say Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Hare. Hare Krishna. Okay, it's supposed to be Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's the proper pronunciation in Sanskrit. So, Western people just say Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You know, something close to that, but not exactly. So, according to the ritualistic aspect of meditation, you're not chanting the mantra properly, therefore the mantra doesn't work. So this person came to Prabhupada and said, your disciples are not chanting properly. And he said, yes, I know, but Krishna knows who they're calling. So it's like, it's a different thing. It's about a relationship. If you go into Buddhism and you do meditation, what do you meditate on? A candle? Just as an object of focus. You're not really meditating on a candle. That would kind of be useless, right? To meditate on a candle. Or you meditate on a spot on a wall. You're really just trying to clear your mind, so you focus it on something. It could be a candle, a spot on the wall. It could be anything. It could be an apple, right? It could be a cloud in the sky. So it's a more mechanical process. Focus on the candle, calm your mind, breathe so many times in, so many times out. It's very mechanical. You don't have a relation, you're not trying to develop a relationship with the candle or with the wall in that meditation. But in chanting Hare Krishna, it's a relationship, it's not a ritual. You're trying to develop a relationship with Krishna. You're chanting his name, he's in his name. It's completely different. So, one of the ways that many of us become sidetracked unknowingly is we focus more on the mechanisms of chanting than the actual meaning and connection with Krishna and the feeling. Does that make sense? And I'll give you an example. This is true. This is a true example. Mahatma Prabhu, how long should it take to chant one round? Mahatma Prabhu says, 5 to 10 minutes. No, I mean exactly how long. I said, well, most devotees like 7, 8. No, I mean exactly. I need to know exactly how long it's supposed to take. You don't realize how many people ask that question. So what is that about? Perfecting a mechanism. Is there a perfect mechanism? What What is the perfect amount of time for chanting? What is the perfect time? What is the perfect direction? Mahatma Prabhu, is it okay if I stand? Do I have to sit? Can I walk? Should I face east? What if I can't finish my rounds before 7? Is it okay to chant after? All these, I get these questions all the time. So we're looking at the process mechanically. It's a mechanical process, and we're thinking if I perfect the mechanics of the process, then I perfected the chant. That's not what it is. In other forms of meditation, that's true. They are mechanical processes. They're not relationships. This is different. This is a divine connection. So, now many of us in this room have made vows to chant a certain number of rounds every day. It doesn't have to be 16, but raise your hand if you made a vow to chant a certain number every day, even 1 or 4 or 8 or 64. Okay, so most of us, right? So there's a thinking for many that if I complete that number, I'm successful. And that is absolutely, I want to say absolutely, that is not true. Not absolutely not true, but basically not true. How can I say that? Well, what if you chanted 16 rounds mechanically? Perfectly mechanically. There was no emotion, there was no feeling, there was no connection with what the mantra means. I just did it mechanically. And I did 16. That's not what we're trying to achieve. The number in itself is just a number. Sometimes we might find a devotee is chanting while they're doing other things. Have you ever done that? One hand on your bead bag, one hand on your phone. Somebody made a joke. He said, "You have your phone? Someone have a phone? I'll give it back, I promise." Can't tell you when I'll give it back. Yeah, so someone made a joke. He said, "You know why your finger sticks out of this? So you can..." While you're chanting. Right. Yeah. So, chanting is a relationship. And just like we talk about quality time, that means one-on-one focused, it's the same thing with the holy name. So this is where we have to start, because this is the biggest, what I've seen in facilitating workshops on Japa for maybe 15 years now, in like so many places around the world. This is the problem everywhere. That we take Japa as a chore, as a ritual, something I have to complete, a number, and once I complete the number, I consider myself successful. Now, I don't want to depress you, but this may depress you. But I think it has to be said. There's a right way to chant and the wrong way to chant. And in the wrong way, there's not much benefit. In the right way, there's tremendous benefit. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is really our guru, our main guru in learning about chanting, said, you could chant 100 rounds. You know how long it takes to chant 100 rounds? Okay, let's figure this out. That should take at least 12 hours, 12 to 13 hours. You could chant for 12 to 13 hours every day and make he said, no spiritual advancement, 0. That's amazing, isn't it? Who would think you could chant for 13 hours and there'd be no benefit, no advancement? He said, because if you're chanting improperly, if you're chanting with the wrong mentality, if you're chanting offensively, you would make no advancement. Are you all depressed now? You're ready to hang your beads up and give up? Hopefully not. In the next few hours, hopefully we will change that. So now here's something funny, but very philosophically deep. What does the holy name mean? Well, we can say there are meanings given to us. This is what it means. And one of the meanings is Krishna, Radha, please engage me in your service. I've been in this world for lifetimes. I've served everyone and everything but you. I've served my mind. I've served my senses. I've served various wicked masters. And I haven't served you. and I want to serve you. That is a meaning, that is a mood of the holy name. That is one of the moods we're meant to be in. And the Prabhupada elaborated on this. Very interesting. He said, the mood of chanting, this mood of chanting, is that mood which we all experience, that Krishna, my senses are pulling me away from you, and I want to be pulled toward you. I want to serve you. I want to be your devotee. But I'm constantly being misled. And I've been in this world, life after life, not serving you, but serving my own desires, my own demands, being pulled away from you. Now, please, 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 uplift me so that I can serve you, that I only have the desire to serve you. He said, that's the mood. So we know the philosophy. The philosophy is long, long ago, once upon a time, we went, this is Krishna, this is God, we went like this, boop, and we went south, figuratively and literally, because we went from up there down, so it was actually more like this. We were like this, and then we went like this, and we went down, right? So we turned away, yes? We turned our back to Krishna, and we turned our face to what, for those of you who are new, it's called Maya. Maya is it's not Satan, but for lack of a better word, you could call it Satan. But Maya is what is not God. Everything that represents the illusion, the material, Maya. So we went like from this to this. And for lifetimes, we've been like this, right? And what happens in this life? We keep running into a wall. We keep going away, turning around, and running into a wall. And on Sunday, we turn for an hour, and then we go back and run into the wall. And on Sunday, we go, God, can you help me run into the wall? Maybe you can help me run through the wall. Because it's like, my head hurts from banging it. So chanting Hare Krishna is, Krishna, please give me the power to turn around and start going back, right? And material and spiritual life is a bit like, and as you advance, you turn this way less and you get closer, and it's more like this, right? In the beginning, it's kind of like, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You leave the temple and you're, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, I'm so weak. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna help me. So that's actually what it is. But sometimes we're chanting and there's nothing there other than I have 16 rounds to chant, right? So I'll give an example. And we've all chanted like this before. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Can you relate? Hare Rama. Yeah, all right. So now, the mantra means, Krishna, please engage me in your service. I beg you. I've suffered in this material world for so many lifetimes. Please pick me up. Now, if we translated that into English, the way you were chanting, it would sound something like, please pick me up. I'm suffering like anything. Can you help me? Do I have to do everything? Can't you just do everything for me? I don't like to chant. Isn't it? So you don't realize the mantra has a meaning. And when you're chanting, the way I was demonstrating, you're completely distinct from the meaning. Isn't it? You're totally disconnected, right? So you think you're chanting, but you're really not chanting. And If I asked you, what does your mantra mean? You might say, oh, the mantra means, Krishna, please engage me in your service. No, that's not what I was asking you. I was asking, what does your mantra mean? Like, what's going on in your heart? And what's going on? Do I have to do this? It's just so boring. I don't like chanting. There's so many things I have to do today. I'll chant later. It's just so hard. That's what's in your mantra, right? Yes or no? Admit it. So technically speaking, if that's what's going on, that's what your mantra means. So you can say, this is what the mantra means, but you also have to say, what does your mantra mean? Let's give an example, right? There are many temples around the world with deities of Krishna, deities of Lord Shiva, Buddhist temples, deities of Buddha, Durga temples. So when someone goes into those temples for the first time, they see something, but they don't see the same thing that a practitioner sees, right? For us as Westerners, most of us didn't even see the altar. Or we looked on the altar and we saw flowers. We didn't even see deities. It's very common. Yeah. Oh, there's some beautiful altar. What's on it? I don't know. Flowers. We don't even see the deity on the altar. And then as we progress spiritually, become purified, then we understand the deity. But it's not that necessarily you see Krishna in the deity, or you see Buddha in the deity, or you see Shiva in the deity. You might just be seeing stone. But as you become more evolved, then you see that Krishna is actually there. So Krishna always was there, but you couldn't see it. So Krishna is always in his name, but because of our mentality, we may be thinking, I don't like chanting, or we just see, oh, that's just a piece of marble. I don't see Krishna. So, because you might say, well, how is it possible that I'm not connecting Krishna if Krishna and his name are the same? That's the theology. The mantra is Krishna's there, because I'm not accessing it. He's there, but I don't access it. Just like I don't access the deity. I may not access the deity, right? Yes? Is that possible? Yeah. Okay. So, my question to you is, what's in your mantra? What's in your mantra? Okay, now I'm going to tell you what's in your mantra. Some mornings, maybe every morning this is in your mantra. And I want you to do this tomorrow. When you start chanting, whenever you start, and you put your hand on your first bead, don't start chanting yet. And I want you, if you can, just sit there and try to connect with what you're thinking. And a lot of you are going to realize what you're thinking sounds something like this. Oh no, here we go again. Seriously. It's subconscious, you don't realize it. Well, maybe raise your hand if you realize that's going on when you put your hand. As soon as you touch the bead. Why? Because yesterday was difficult, last week was difficult, last month was difficult, last year was difficult. So naturally, oh no, here we go again. Boring, difficult. Yes? That's because we're chanting mechanistically. And because we're chanting mechanistically, then what goes in our mantra is, oh no, this is going to be hard. I don't want to do this. So if I ask you what's in your mantra, oh no, you're not chanting Hare Krishna, you're chanting, oh no. You think you're chanting Hare Krishna, oh no, it's so hard. You're trying to distract yourself because it's so hard. Have you ever done that? Tried to distract yourself from the mantra to get through it? And the mantra is so powerful, it can give you love of Krishna. And we're trying to distract ourselves from it. That's sad, right? So, what we're going to try to do in this workshop is help you enter more deeply. And so, what you put back in your mantra will be something more powerful. You put back more feeling and so forth. Does that sound good? Sound good? Can't hear you. Sound good? Thank you. Yeah. When you respond, 3 people respond, I think, wow, there's like 65 dead people in here. If you want to sit up here in front, if you don't mind sitting on the floor, you're welcome. If any of you in the back who feel left out of the fun, You can come. Okay, so before we get into the feeling, there's some preliminary things I want to teach that are extremely valuable. And much of what I'm teaching is a combination of three things. What I've read, what I've gathered in Japa retreats that I've attended, facilitated by other great souls like Satyananda Swami and Rabindranath Prabhu and Giriraj Swami, and my own realizations in trying to improve my japa. So, number one complaint of devotees trying to improve their japa is, I can't control my mind. You agree? Number one complaint or obstacle, I can't control my mind. It's easy. I'm going to tell you how it's easy. You want to hear how it's easy?
Yes.
Yeah. You're going to be so amazed. You're going to think, why didn't I think of this? This is so easy. Okay. When we sit down to chant japa, our mind is moving. How many thoughts do we have a day? 30. Some say 35,000, some say 50, some say 60. I think it depends how much coffee you drink. If you don't drink coffee, 35. If you drink a lot, 60. So, what are we thinking about? I have to do this, I have to do that. What time's lunch? What time's he? We have mostly, of those 30, 50,000 thoughts, there's about 300 of the same thoughts just going around every day, same thoughts. Isn't it? Think about it. What do you think about most of the time? Same worries, right? Same anxieties. So, we sit down to chant. The mind is used to 30,000 thoughts. I think that's like a thought every 2 seconds or something. Somebody can figure that out? 35,000 thoughts a day. How many thoughts? One thought per how many seconds? Can someone figure that out? In your head? But can't use your phone. That would be like, take the fun away. Who can figure it out in their head? 35,000 thoughts in 24 hours. So how many thoughts per hour? 1,500 per hour? Yes? What do you got? Approximate.
I got one thought every 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, that sounds right. One thought every 2.5 seconds. Okay, so that's the normal mind. One thought every 2.5 seconds. And so then you sit down to chant Hare Krishna. And what's going on in your mind? One thought every 2.5 seconds. And you start chanting and the mind's just going, right? And your whole life is, plugged in. You think of yourself like a smartphone. And when you sit down and chant japa, your smartphone's still plugged in and all the notifications are coming up, right? Got to do this, got to do that, isn't it? You ever have that experience? That you're like a smartphone with notifications? Oh, I forgot about that. And we were chanting yesterday, and Kirtan Ras was saying, when I start chanting, I get all my inspiration, my ideas start coming up. So it's like, idea, write the ideas down. Oh, I just forgot I had to do this. And yesterday I didn't finish that. And this other devotee, they drive me crazy. And think of them for a few minutes, and isn't it? Like our smartphones are plugged in, and we're trying to chant, and then we're complaining that we can't control our mind. How can we control it? And then the sad part is when you try to chant here the mantra and you focus all your energy on trying to control all those thoughts while you're still plugged in. Well, it's like you're trying to control these thoughts. Hare Krishna, no thoughts, Hare Krishna. I shouldn't think of that. Whoop, I thought of that. No, not that. Don't think of that thought. There was this guru, kind of a bogus guru guy, but he was very funny. He was saying, one disciple was told by his guru, don't think of a broom when you meditate. And the disciple thought, that's no problem. I don't think of a broom when I meditate. And the next morning, when he started meditating, what do you think he was thinking of? That he's not supposed to think of a broom. Yeah. So, don't think of that thought. Don't think of that thought. That beautiful girl you saw yesterday, you're not supposed to think of her when you chant. You're not even supposed to think of her when you're not chanting. So, so this whole time you're battling the mind. And so all your energy, instead of going in Krishna, please uplift me, purify me, help me, it's going into, energy. Just try to hear, just try to control. So you're putting so much energy. So I have a solution. Would you like to hear the solution?
Yes.
Would you like to hear the solution?
Yes.
Turn to the person next to you and tell them, I would like to hear the solution. Okay, it's very simple. I'll tell you next time I come. So, this is the way I've understood it. If I look at my life, I see there are different aspects of it. Well, my life, our life, we have work, we have family, we have health, we have an emotional aspect, we have relationships. And if you think of all the things that will come up when you're chanting, then meditate when you begin chanting that all these things are aspects of the mind that are plugged in to your life. And so before you begin chanting, just pull them out. One by one by one. Okay, business. Most men, when they chant Japa, are sitting in their office in their mind thinking about what they have to do. Most ladies are in the kitchen thinking what they're going to be cooking for their kids that morning. Yes? When they're chanting Japa. Well, yesterday we made this. We could make this today. Isn't it? And 3 o'clock, I have to pick them up from school and take them to the doctor. Right? Isn't it? Yes? No?
Yes.
Admit it. Just admit it.
Yes.
And the guys are in the office. My boss this, I wants this, I don't know. So, pull the plug from the kitchen. Pull the plug from the office. Pull the plug from that argument you had. Pull the plug from your to-do list. Pull the plug from your financial situation. Just what I tell devotees is, the easiest way to chant is get up early and just pretend, let's say tomorrow morning, what's today, Sunday? So tomorrow is Monday. So get up early, get up at least 2 hours before you have to go to work. So it gives you 2 hours, and pretend Monday hasn't started till you get ready for work. So just get up and start chanting and say, today is not Monday yet. Monday starts at 7. It hasn't started yet, right? Because when you get up and you think Monday has started, what happens? Your mind starts. We're going to do this today, that today, right? And then now you're chanting. And are you really chanting? Not really. I mean, it sounds like it. So just pull the plug. Oh, Monday hasn't started. All the plugs are pulled. And once the plugs are pulled, you'll be amazed what happens to your mind. Nothing. It has nothing to think about because the plugs are pulled. And you will find an amazing phenomena happens when you pull the plug on your mind. It calms down because there's nothing to think about. But the plug has little legs, and it tends to crawl back and plug itself in. Have you noticed that? Have you ever tried to pull the plug to chant? Anybody? You ever used this method? Yeah. You notice the plugs have little legs. They feel uncomfortable when they're not plugged in. So what I've experienced, and this is very, very important, so if you're sleeping, I'll give you, on the count of 3, please wake up. 1, 2, 3. Punch your partner in the face if you're sleeping. So, no, I mean rub their cheek if they're sleeping. So, what I have found, which is the most amazing thing, is that just like when you touch your beads and it's, oh no, here we go again, if you practice pulling the plugs, as soon as you touch your beads, the plugs will just fall out because you realize, now I'm chanting, and you subconsciously reprogrammed yourself that when I chant, the plugs have to go out. And they just come out of the wall automatically. Good or great? Wouldn't that be amazing? That you've programmed yourself that as soon as you put your hand in your beads, it's like the world just goes, doo. When I chant, the world has to stop. That's how I chant. Even if it's on a subway. You call them subways? Or what do you call them? You have subways? Subways. Or a train or a bus or wherever. You can get so conditioned that when I chant, I have to turn everything else off to chant. that when I touch my beads, the mind just goes click, just as it used to go, oh no, here we go again. It's so interesting. There's a thing called, in psychology, what's it called? Anchoring. Like you have an experience, and it gets anchored within you, and something stimulates that experience. Like you go to a temple, you smell incense, you smell the flavor of the food, and it anchors in. And then you go to the temple in 10 years, and you smell that same incense. Oh, that was the incense I smelled the first time I went to the temple. It's anchored in there. It creates a response. Wouldn't it be nice that as soon as you touch your bead, there's an anchor to turn your mind off? It just happens. If you practice it, that's what will happen. Wouldn't that be nice? So, before we chant, I have a mantra. It's a very simple mantra. It goes like this. And it's in my Japa affirmations. It's actually one of the affirmations. We have books over there. And it goes like this. When I chant, I chant. Can we all say that? When I chant, I chant. So that means plugs are out. And when I chant, that's all I do. That alone can improve your chanting maybe like 30%, 50%, 75%, just because you've turned everything else off, right? Okay. Is there any questions on that? Pulling the plug, Japa? So try to remember this when you're going to chant. Pull the plugs. When I chant, I chant. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm not doing anything else, okay? So that's just preliminary. Now, I want to begin by facilitating some Japa sessions with you where we go more deeply into our chanting and try to enter into the proper mood. So, I was discussing before this definition of the Maha-Mantra that Srila Prabhupada most often gave was, Krishna, please engage me in your service. I've been engaged in the service of Maya for lifetimes. I'm suffering. I'm being thrown around by my mind and senses. I want to be engaged in your service. Please help me. Please uplift me. Please give me strength. So, what I would like to do now is enter into that mood in our chanting. Try to chant in that mood. Now, naturally some of you are thinking, but I thought we're just supposed to listen to the mantra. And how can I listen to the mantra if I have to focus on praying to Krishna to uplift me? So, some people have a little difficult time getting used to this, but feeling is not a thought, and a thought is not a feeling. So if you're thinking a feeling, you're not feeling. Does that make sense? I know it made sense to the women. This question was for the men. Did that make sense? And the men raise their hand and say, wait a minute, could you explain what a feeling is? I'm not sure what that is. And the men try to understand feelings intellectually. You know. So the men have a little more of a problem with this. So thinking something and feeling it is different. Like if you're not hungry and you see some pastry in a bakery window, you think, that looks good, but you don't feel like eating it because you're not hungry. But if you're hungry, you don't even think it looks good. You just feel you want to eat it. It's different. It's right? So when I tell devotees we should feel something when we chant, then many of them go into thinking. Oh, I'm supposed to think, Krishna, please lift me up. You're not supposed to think that. You're supposed to feel it. And that's where the confusion comes. They say, well, how am I supposed to hear the mantra and think? I'm supposed to be thinking this way and hearing and feeling, and it gets all confused. Feeling is not thinking. It's the subtle form of thinking. It's when the thought becomes a feeling. The pastry looks good becomes, I feel like eating it. That's the feeling. You're no longer thinking it looks good. You're just feeling like eating it. You understand the difference? Yeah, feeling. The Maha-Mantra is a prayer. So feeling is heart. We're praying, we're asking. So if you can try to enter the mood Krishna, okay, so here's the mood. We're all in the same situation. So this is actually so easy. We're all in the material world. Yes? You're in the material world. Yeah. Turn the person next to you and say, you're in the material world. Yeah. You're down here. Yeah. We're down here, we want to go up there. Yes? Okay? We're down here, we want to go up there. So we all have served Maya, and we're all not happy with it, and we want to become free from Maya. So we're already feeling this. This is not artificial. This is how we feel. So just take what you already feel and apply it to your prayer to Krishna. Please pick me up out of this. Right? Can we do that? Without thinking? And just, this will actually help you get absorbed in chanting. And it helps you bypass the mind, because feeling is a subtle form of mind. And when you're feeling the mind, it just, you don't need the mind to feel, right? Your wife or your husband comes to the airport, you haven't seen them in a month, you run up to them, you don't think, the mind doesn't think, should I embrace them this way, or this pressure, or that way? You know, you just, the mind shuts off. It's all emotion, right? Yes or yes?
Yes.
So, we're going to start by unplugging. So, when we begin this, you're going to unplug, and then you're going to begin chanting, and you're going to try to invoke that mood, not in your mind, but in your heart, through the mantra, praying to Krishna to keep me under the shelter of your spiritual energy. Always, please give me that desire to serve that is so hard to come by, that I keep. Please help me so I don't keep turning away from you. That's the mood, right? Not the thought, but the mood. And that's the prayer. The Maha-Mantra is a prayer to Krishna to be pure. Yes? Can we do it? Turn to the person next to you and say, you can do it. So we'll just chant for like 3 hours, and then I'll distribute prasadam to people outside while you're chanting. Okay. I will not tell you how long we're chanting, because I don't want you to think about how long we're chanting. I want you to relish. That's all. We won't chant that long, don't worry. But don't worry about time. I just want you to relish the chanting and get into the mood of prayer. And if you lose the mood and go into your head and start thinking, when's it going to stop, and it's too hot, and when's the next break, and where's the water, and all that, just unplug and go back into the mood. This is real life japa. This is what happens in real life, yes? Okay? So let's do it. Oh, one thing about the mantra, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. That beautiful mantra, Prabhupada never said to chant that before japa. You can chant it before japa. I just wanted to clarify, he never said you have to chant that before each round. It's an urban legend in ISKCON, but he never said it. Has anyone ever told you? You're supposed to chant it before? Yeah. Ask them who told them. Find out who told them, who told them, who told them. I've asked every one of my godbrothers, did you ever hear Prabhupada say that? Everyone said no. And one of them said, but Jamuna was doing it, and while she was chanting with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada asked her, what are you doing? And she said, I'm saying this mantra before each round. And Prabhupada said, oh, that's very nice. But he didn't say, everyone, do what Jamuna's doing. And he said, oh, that's nice. So it's nice, but if you don't do it, you won't go to hell. Guaranteed. Okay, so let's chant. And we'll see you in a while. Pray to Krishna. He'll help you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Krishna. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Jai Prabhupada, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Okay. I just had a realization. We should all go away for 5 days to Govinda's Valley and do a Japa retreat. Because if this were a Japa retreat, we would go at least for a half an hour. But because we're only 3 hours, I have to stop you now. You want to do it? 5 days? Govinda's Valley? 4.5 days. I don't know when, but we should do it. This is just appetizer. Okay, so, sorry we can't go longer, but we have other things to cover, but if we have more time, we could go longer. So, we're going to take a break, but before, I want to ask any of you, if any of you would like to share anything from this chanting we just did, any realization. Maybe it was hard for you, maybe it was easy, maybe it was good, maybe it was challenging. You can share any of that. And also if you have any questions about what we've spoken about. Yes?
So, we always hear that when we chant, we should focus on the mantra.
Yes.
So one time, Guru Maharaj was giving a one devotee answered the same question: what should we focus on when we chant? So you were saying that Prabhupada was saying that for advance, I mean, if you want to progress in your Japa, your spiritual progress, then you can focus on the form of the Lord too.
Yes. So
then from that onwards, like sometimes I think, should I focus on the mantra or focus on the Lord form, or then that's a kind of
you spend the whole time chanting japa, thinking about it. Prabhupada said you should not focus on the form unless it comes naturally. And if it comes naturally, yeah. But if it comes artificially, then it's artificial. Krishna's form is within his name. So it's already there. It's just, if it manifests to you, then naturally, then that means you're going more deeply. The name is revealing itself. So then you don't have to ask a question. It's already answered within the process. Now, if somebody is thinking of the form, that's because it's natural. So if you're on that stage that it's natural, then do it. There's no problem with it. But if all your energy is going into trying, Prabhupada said, don't do it. It's not natural. The thing to understand is the Maha-Mantra is a prayer. So you're begging Krishna for purity. That's where it starts. Anything else becomes mechanical. Then you're actually disconnecting with the very frequency of the holy name and creating something artificial and mechanical. There's a book called Japa Journal with the realizations of many, many devotees about chanting. And that's the realization that practically everybody shared. It's a prayer, it's a feeling, it's a connection like that. Yes. She's dying to ask. What's your name? Tara. Tara means star. Did you know that? In Sanskrit. I have a godbrother named Tara Chandra. Stars and sun. Stars and moon. Yes, Tara.
I guess I don't know much about Japa.
Okay.
It's something that all of a sudden I just started doing.
Yes.
Because my friend gifted me these beads and it just started happening. And because I don't think about it and because I haven't learned about
Yes.
it, I feel it. I really, really feel it. And I think the more that I know, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, like what you were saying, I'm up here.
Yes.
Whereas when I let that go, and because I don't know much about it already, it's just all of a feeling, and it's a really beautiful practice.
Interesting. Want to hear something funny? There are 10 offenses to the holy name. If you don't know them, you can't make them. I don't think we should tell Tara what they are. That was, Prabhupada told this joke. He said this preacher came to coal miners. And the preacher said, you're all going to hell. And he said, what's hell? We never heard of hell. He said, oh, it's very dark and very cold. And they go, well, it's dark and cold down here, so what's the problem? And he said, well, there's no newspaper there. And they got, oh, no newspaper. That's horrible. But then he said, if you don't accept Jesus, you're going to go to hell. And they said, who's Jesus? We never heard of Jesus. He explained. And then they said, well, what if you've never heard of Jesus? And the priest said, well, after he explained who Jesus was, he said, well, if you've never heard of Jesus, then you won't go to hell. He said, thanks a lot for telling us who Jesus was. Now we're going to go to hell. Yes, you had a...
Yeah.
Graham.
Feeling but the more I concentrate on feeling, all of a sudden I yawn.
Ah.
And it happens a lot. And I'm very just yawning. I'm not going to sleep. It's just
While you're chanting or anytime? Yeah. Yeah, that's... You know why?
no.
because the mind is not so used to being calm like that. So some of us, when we get that calm, we fall asleep. But as you progress, your mind calms, and then Krishna goes more into it, and then you stay awake. So it's kind of like you're going down, and then that's our minds are so active. So to just like slow them down a bit, for some people, it just, it's because they're tired, and when they finally slow the mind down, they fall asleep. They can't, maybe, sometimes it's like that. But when you progress in chanting, then you'll get spiritual energy. There are devotees, not like ourselves, but very special devotees, who chant 22 hours a day. And 1 hour they bathe and eat, brush their teeth, clean their clothes, and 1 hour sleep. And some days they don't have time for sleeping and taking care of themselves. So they're living on a different strata. But, as you progress, you come a little closer to that. Yeah. Yes?
Sorry to go back into the mechanical aspect, but there's always this question as to how to chant. Do we have to chant loudly? Do we have to chant loudly?
Yeah. Quietly, loudly, in the mind, all three. Take your pick.
So is there a way that is better than vibrating?
Depends on you. I like to chant softly. A lot of devotees will fall asleep if they chant softly. And some of my godbrothers said, I like to chant softly, but inside I'm screaming. Like this, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. But inside it's, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But outside is. So it's individual. Thakur just did 1/3 of his rounds silently, 1/3 softly, and 1/3 loudly. Depends on you. What works for you? What helps you chant better, do it. Otherwise, we get, generally in the mind is for more advanced devotees. But you can experiment, chanting like this. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. When I have the opportunity, when I'm just alone by myself, which I haven't had the opportunity in a while, since January, I've been with devotees constantly. But when I'm alone, that's how I chant. For me, I turn off all the lights, I close my eyes, and I chant softly, and I don't fall asleep. I think many devotees, if they did that, they would fall asleep. I get more absorbed that way. But I've been doing this for almost 50 years, so it's different. So that works for me. Completely dark, nobody around, no noise, total silent, just whispering. That's the best for me. Some people want to do it with lots of devotees loudly. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jumping up and down, and So, I think different age groups and different sexes have different ways of doing it. Yes. Someone else had a question? Yes.
You asked about the experience.
Yes.
Prabhuji. So I think the first few seconds I was thinking about the plug.
Uh-huh.
So, like trying to take it out. Then after that, I think I was trying to hear the name. And then after that, I think I was trying to, I don't know if I was trying or I was just trying to see Radha Gopinath.
Mm-hmm. It worked? What about the prayer? You didn't enter into that level?
Not yet.
Why? Because you're not used to it. Yes? Yeah.
I could see, I was just trying to look at Radha Gopinath from his feet and then his face, but I wasn't sure if I was feeling anything or I was just observing that.
You weren't sure if you were feeling. I don't believe you. You must know what you're feeling. Well, what?
I was feeling happy.
Yeah. The Maha-Mantra is a prayer to Krishna to engage in his service. Yes? Just think about that. That's what it is. So that should be going on some level. Actually, the Maha-Mantra means many things. But all the meanings evolve around Krishna's here, I'm here, and I want to come closer. So that's the underlying mood of chanting, is let's decrease the distance, and everything that's getting in the way, let's move it out of the way. That's what the Maha-Mantra is. So we should try to keep that mood when we're chanting. Right? Sometimes I think we could do a play. So there's you and Krishna and a mediator. And it's like Krishna's saying, let's talk about this. You left me a long time ago, so what's your problem? And I'm sorry, Krishna, I didn't mean it. Will you accept me back? No, maybe. Depends. You want to come back? Yes. You ready? I'm trying. That's the mood, right? It's therapy. It's conflict resolution. Chanting japa is conflict resolution. We're resolving the conflict that we originally created with Krishna. That's the mood. So just keep that in mind. That's the underlying current of japa. It's this, and we're trying to close the gap and move all the boulders and things that are getting in the way, and the ego, and the arrogance, and the envy, and the material desire, and all of this that's getting in the way of the relationship. Just like in marriage counseling, there's all this stuff that gets in the way of the relationship. So what about, counseling, relationship counseling with God? What's in the way? It's the same principle, isn't it? Interesting way of looking at it, right? Yeah. Yes.
How important, Prabhu, is the beads to hold it in hand? For some medical reason, you're not able to hold them. So how important is it in the process of?
It's just helpful. It's helpful, not essential. So you want to use a clicker or something? Yeah, it's helpful, but not essential. Yes?
Yeah, how important is the number of times that you do it as opposed to the feeling and the emotion that you get? I tend to focus more on the motion. I do it in my mind. I probably do the chanting about a quarter or a fifth of the speed of most people. I sometimes don't even bother counting. I stop in the middle and really focus on the emotion of the prayer. I could go for an hour and not even get to 100 names. Because of the emotion I'm trying to put in, knowing it's a prayer.
Well, look at it like, I can give some analogies. I was actually just giving these analogies in India. That Srila Prabhupada asked his initiated disciples to chant 16, which if you were going to do, obviously you'd have to get it in fifth gear to do it, otherwise it might take you all day. So, and he said, if you chant 16 rounds a day and you follow the four principles, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, this life you could see Krishna and go back to him. This is quite an offer, right? So, I was thinking of the rounds like petrol. So if you fill your tank with 16 rounds of Japa petrol, you'll have enough fuel to go back to Godhead. That's kind of what Prabhupada's saying. Or another example, pills. You take so many pills per day, right? So it's kind of a balance between the number and the quality. You need them both. They both go together. So the idea of counting on beads is it's kind of like a watch. Like you and I are going to meet at 12 o'clock, so I need a watch or something that tells me the time. It's like I have an appointment with Krishna that I will chant this much every day. It's like a commitment. So that number is a commitment, it's a focus, and that quantity is like medicine. Like I'm going to take this much medicine every day. So having said that, I can take 16 pills of medicine without the proper mood and not much happens. I can take one pill of medicine with the right mood and a lot can happen. But still, there's a recommendation. So traditionally, everyone who chanted had a set number that they would chant. That's always been that way. So, and that way you're committed. It just helps you because it's a regular thing. I'm going to do this every day. And maybe I can do it for an hour every day, but this way I can count it, this many mantras. So that's the idea. So, you can kind of flow with it and think about it and try it. And I think you can err on either side, Too much feeling and no rounds, and too many rounds and no feeling. So you balance them both. Yes. Yes, sir.
Regarding removing the plug analogy, I don't know which plug to remove because I have been observing my thoughts since like past few days, and those thoughts are not any specific thing regarding work or home or anything, but they are just imaginations which mind does. What if it would have been like this? What if something like this happens? And like everyone is watching me while I'm chanting and this one. So what plug do I remove before chanting?
Well, if I were you, I would put all those plugs into a, what do you call it? Power box? PowerPoint, and just pull it out of the wall. I mean, okay, here's an analogy. I have this experience flying in India on airplanes. Sometimes I'll sit next to some man, and he's reading the newspaper before the plane takes off, while it takes off, during the flight, while it lands, and while it's practically till the time we get out, he's reading the newspaper. Completely oblivious to the world. I mean, if the plane was crashing, he wouldn't even know. This is, stock prices, politics, sports, he's totally absorbed. So the mind can do that. It can absorb itself in one thing, isn't it? When you were a student, sometimes you go to the library. And as soon as you walk through the library doors, it's like you just left that world of your friends and whatever was going on, and now you're studying, along with everyone else who did the same thing. If you're a surgeon, you're on the phone talking to your wife before the surgery, this and that, right? You put the phone down, you get ready for the surgery, you walk in there, your world has just unplugged. It has to be. So, and when we go to sleep at night, we unplug. If we don't, we can't fall asleep. So we already know how to do it. We do it all the time. You go to work, you have to unplug and focus. So we already know how to do it. So just do it. Like you do it with everything else, just do it with Japa. You're subconsciously pulling plugs all the time. You come home, your wife wants to talk to you. If you're a good husband, you pull the plugs and you listen. If you're a bad husband, all the plugs are still in. And you have no idea what she's saying. Right? And the next day she says, did you do this and that? And you said, you never told me to do this and that. I'm inventing a new product. You say something, and you get two printouts. One for you, as evidence you said it, and one to the person you said it to. Solve all quarrels. I didn't say that. Yeah, you did. I got the printout. So, when you watch a movie, what do? Turn off the world. You are completely absorbed in that movie as if it's real. If we can do it for a movie, why not for Japa? Because Japa is real. So we're doing it all the time. It's just we have to be more conscious. Because a lot of us, when we get Japa beads and we're told you should chant, nobody tells us how to chant. Nobody really tells us what it means. So we just chant mechanically because we think it's just, well, he said, try to chant one round. Oh, I chanted one round. I'm successful. Not really. I mean, you're more successful than you would be if you didn't chant, but there's more to it. So think about it. Think about, just think about the times you unplug. How did I do that? Because something was important and you focused on it and you had to unplug to be able to do it. Isn't it? So generally, the more importance you give to chanting, the more naturally you unplug. Because you can't give enough importance to it if you're still plugged in. Right? And that's why it's important to chant early, because when you chant later, your life is plugged in. You can't unplug, right? And then you chant at night, you tend to be, all the thoughts of the day. So if you can chant early in the morning, we're pretty much unplugged in the morning, isn't it? I have a funny story. You want to hear a funny story? So when I was younger, a few years ago, many years ago, it's funny because someone my age, if I say I was young, you're like, you were never young. You don't look like you were ever young. Yeah, I was young once. Still am, but not as young. So we were crazy surfers, and crazy surfers get up early in the morning because surfing is best early in the morning. So we were like 5:30, my friend, a bunch of us, like 4 of us, we all met at his house, got in his van with our surfboards, and we went off for about an hour drive up the coast. And this one friend who was driving, he was completely, how should we say, he was wild. So it was like 5:30 in the morning, and he turns on the radio. And we were 16 years old, and we told him, turn off the radio, it's too early for rock and roll. Even us, 16-year-old, we all play guitar, and it was too early for us, 5:30 in the morning. So it's just the time to chant early in the morning, because it's not time for the mind to go, right? So the later you chant, the harder it is. And the closer to work you chant, the harder it is, because the closer to work, the more you start thinking about work, isn't it? What am I going to wear? Or, should I leave now, miss traffic, take this route, check Google, all that. So if you're up very early, the more distance you are from the time you have to get ready, then, as I said, your day hasn't started. So it's more natural. Your mind, when you wake up, your mind's kind of still unplugged, Now, unfortunately, many people, when they wake up, they plug in immediately to Facebook, right? Because they have withdrawal symptoms. They've slept all night without Facebook. And they're experiencing withdrawal symptoms, and they wake up and they plug in. So, isn't it? Yes or no? Yes. For some people. So, for spiritual life, we're learning a kind of discipline that our world stays off, your phone stays off, all these things stay